Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello and welcome back to Joe on Joe Extreme. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and we're back this week for another episode of the thrilling half-hour adventure that is G.I. Joe Extreme. Guys, today's episode is Iron Klaw Unmasked. We're getting the culmination of the Iron Klaw as Clancy storyline. I can't believe they did this for 4 full episodes. That it's been fantastic to watch it unplay, and it doesn't even wrap up. It's just there's been a revelation in this episode. So I'm really excited to have with me my guest. He's a podcaster. He's a member of the G.I. Joe social network out there. He's got a great signal that he's always boosting. I'm talking about Cujo from G.I. Joeberg, creator of the Black Book. Cujo, welcome to Joe on Joe Extreme.
Thank you, brother. It feels very thrilling to be in or on Joe on Joe. As per usual.
Yeah, we were just talking about this earlier. I thought you were already on the show because I've talked to you and we've been on podcasts together. But I thought you had done my show before. So welcome for the first time, and I'm sorry it took so long to get you on here. Welcome to Joe and Joe, buddy.
Not at all. Perfect timing.
Yeah, now you're a regular contributor and part of the G.I. Joeberg squad with our friends Steve Jubber and Paul Loebscher. Tell me about that. How did you get hooked up with those guys?
No, honestly, I think being around G.I. Joe, there's different people that fell in love with the brand, but there are like people that go and get it. You're one of them because you're Joe on Joe. But there's people that just say, I want to do that, so they do it. And I think that's where Joe has led me, so to speak.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. Now, if any listeners are out there and have attended the G.I. Joe conventions in the past, you may have run across Cujo's work. Cujo, I was reading one of the old the comic books that they put together for those conventions. I can't remember exactly what year, but maybe this was like 2016 or 2017's year. And there was a nice pinup of, what was it, a Crimson Guardsman?
I think if you're talking about the G.I. Joe convention book or the magazine they put out, I did a Laser Viper for him.
Viper.
Yeah, a pretty arrogant one at that.
Oh, it looked pretty great, and I saw in the corner by Cujo and Paul Loebscher from G.I. Joeberg. It was a nice surprise to see, man. Very talented.
Oh, thank you, brother. No, those guys gave me a great opportunity, and I think that's when I found out that I didn't work great within the framework of the brand, because I always wanted to tweak their concepts a little bit. But those guys were awesome, and they put on some nice conventions for a bit. Cheers.
Yeah, they certainly did. And that actually leads us to your big project. We've talked about it, mentioned it a couple times now, the Black Book. Which is you playing with the property, but with your spin on it. Tell us from soup to nuts, what is the Black Book? What is this project that you're doing? Because it's very cool, and I'm a big fan of it.
Oh, thank you, brother. You're part of it. I think it's just we're both on. I don't want to turn this question. We're both on independent media journeys, and along the way, you catch things that aren't exactly on the narrative, and I think that's. I wanted to create like a story of some characters that didn't get all the answers, like some people that were like, oh, this might be this. It's kind of like life, really. Mm-hmm. But no, the two characters were born out of a collaboration of many minds. And my hand caught fire like one summer. You can ask my lady. I didn't sleep much those couple months, but I just kept drawing, and I kind of like the Hama philosophy. I didn't know where the story was going until it got there. So, yeah, the Black Book. If you're hearing this, I would definitely reach out to me because you might just get a copy hot off the presses.
Yeah, and you guys can find Cujo on social media at 86Cujo. That's your handle on most all the socials, right?
Yeah, you can run me down on Twitter. If you're not there, just Cujo86 at Gmail. It's pretty grassroots, like the community.
Yeah, and to be more specific, what Black Book is it's a comic book, but it's not. I would say it's not told in traditional panels. It's a lot more splash pagey, right? Explain that a little bit.
Well, I did during the time that I was drawing it, and probably my adopted style now. I was looking at a lot of Renaissance art, and they tell a lot of story with simple imagery, or at least with the least amount of lines, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go light ink on the page, but I tried to make every page its own little thing. Um, so like it's a series of short stories that it has a lot of different artists in it, like from John Royal to Paul Lobster, whom you know from GI Joeberg, who's
Mm-hmm.
an incredible colorist on the come up. So no, it's just and even version 2, which if you hit me up and you'll get your hands on, it's got 5 more artists pulled from the Joe community that you're supporting your community. That's actually the bottom line, brother, and you know that as well as I do.
Absolutely.
Sustainability.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Well, speaking of
yeah,
both community and the internet, everyone, while you're listening to this, remember on social media, we're doing hashtag release the extreme. We announced this a couple of weeks ago. And,
got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. So tag Hasbro, tag the official G.I. Joe. Feel free to tag me at Joe on Joe Pod. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. If you want to be a guest on the show, give me a rating on any podcast catchers that you're listening to this on. But most importantly, hashtag release the extreme. Let's Twitter bomb Hasbro, G.I. Joe with this pressure to get this series released, because G.I. Joe Extreme is a whole lot of fun. And Cujo, this is your first experience with G.I. Joe Extreme. Is that correct?
That is accurate.
And what's your initial thing? I believe you've only watched the one episode. I've given you access to the whole drive, but I think you just watched the one. What is your initial take on it?
He did. It was just a teaser because I am going to go back and catch the whole series. I think it's kind of funny that the first extreme episode I get is one where a guy's in a coma. so,
extreme comas.
Yeah,
And that's the way we coma it. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, well,
That was the one.
so that's
Go
Lieutenant
ahead.
Stone, and he's basically like the Duke of the team. So it's kind of like Duke getting a Serpentor stake through the chest. But
It was the first time. Oh, go.
no. But he's in a coma. Duke's gonna be okay. He came out of his coma. Remember, guys, he didn't die in the movie.
No, I got to say his reveling against being underdogs in the opening of the show was kind of inspiring. So
Yeah. This is a fun episode. This is it's got like shades of The Godfather in it. It's got this revelation about Scar. So for you and for any listeners who aren't caught up on the show, basically Iron Claw, who's the main bad guy for Scar, he's their Cobra Commander / Zartan / Destro. He's been masquerading for this is the 4th episode and 5th if you include the end of season 1 as Clancy, their CIA government liaison guy. And it's been great. And the Joes really have been on the ropes for 4 episodes of a 13 episode arc. That's a third of the show. So that's a lot. And so this is finally, in the previous episode, it was teased out that Stone realized who he was, and that's how he ended up in the coma, because Iron Claw, knocked him out and really hurt him. So I love this continuity. Did you, when coming up, when you were watching cartoons and they had this kind of loose continuity, was this something you were into, or did you prefer the cartoons that were more one and done?
No, I definitely prefer like this carryover investment. And I would echo your sentiment. Along with The Godfather, you've got some things because nobody can trust each other.
It's very true. Yeah, they're very true. That is a very cool B story that's carried over from last week as well, where Sergeant Savage does not trust Metalhead. He thinks Metalhead is the traitor because they know they have a traitor. They just don't know who it is. And that threatens to break the team apart, which is fabulous.
Agreed. It's good storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were coming up, when did you get into G.I. Joe, Cujo? Like, was it when you were a kid, or was it more later in life? What's your story?
No, I think I was there from the beginning, like many people. I wouldn't say I fell out. I would say it was kind of an ebb and flow. And honestly, I know the question's coming. I was all comic books. I caught the G.I. Joe movie, but that was really the only animated thing I caught until I was many years later.
Mm-hmm.
So it did not affect me quite as much.
Interesting. Now, have you gone back and watched a lot of the cartoons, like a lot of the original, the good stuff, the Sunbow stuff?
I have, and you and I have both had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of those folks,
Mm-hmm.
and it just honestly confirms what we already know. The GI Joe is like the property. It's always been the property.
It's
Like
pretty
Star Wars.
dynamite.
Star Wars is what it is. It's the greatest story told, but like GI Joe is the deepest, and I can't be convinced otherwise. I mean, even the voice actors, dude. If you have a conversation with Arthur Burkhart Destro,
Oh yeah,
that can reshape your life on the fly. Like it's not a joke.
I've met him once and had this amazing conversation with him. He is so well versed and so knowledgeable about like military history and just history in general. And he was opening my eyes in the 5 minutes that I was talking to him. We were not talking about G.I. Joe at all. We were talking about military history. It was crazy. It was great.
Agreed. Is it time to get extreme?
I think it is. Now, today, guys, we're watching Iron Claw Unmasked. That is episode 4 of season 2. So hopefully you guys have your hands on a copy. If you don't have a copy of this, remember, hit up Hasbro with #ReleaseTheExtreme, and hopefully we can get some nice, Shout Factory quality releases, Blu-ray releases, or even stream. We'll accept stream. I say accept. We're making demands here, but somehow we need to get cleaned up versions of these because the quality in these bootlegs is not great, but the show is much better than I think than most people remember. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised when they see these. So get ready with your DVDs or videos or whatever you've got them on. And Cujo, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, here we go. So it just gets right into the action. Very first shot, you get Black Dragon's crotch. Right.
True. Now, what character did you warm up to first?
It's funny. Steve asked me the same question, and I think I like Freight the best. I think he's fun in that just warm, charming personality kind of way. It's called Iron Claw Unmasked. It's written by David Anthony Kraft, and we open at this military hospital. And we're still dealing with the traitor issue. You've got Stone in a coma. There's Clancy, probably named after Tom Clancy, as we surmised. And
Agent Smith wasn't available.
Yeah, right. And Savage, by the way, is so angry and so great. And this enmity that they're making is fantastic. It's classic, like the Hawkman, Green Arrow enmity. Two dudes because they're generational, right?
Mm.
Where heavy metal is the new young guy, probably in a grunge or literally heavy metal music, like, hey man. And you've got Savage, who is literally a World War II veteran. So of course those two personalities are going to clash. So I really like their choice of putting them at odds. And this is Yep.
I was just going to say, Metalhead is definitely one of those guys where you're like, okay, I want this guy to be a good guy.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
They're kind of he was light on design, though, at least in this episode.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's the thing. He's probably the most under-designed character in this team, and I like that, though, because they've all got way, from my tastes. I mean, it's very 90s. It is extreme when you're talking design of this stuff. Real quick on the show, it's the 48th Regiment was there protecting the hospital, and Clancy is now dismissing them. He's telling them to take off. And this is like shades of Godfather, right? When Vito Corleone was in the hospital and the cops were pulled off the protection racket. And so Michael had to stick around at the hospital. Remember he had, was it Tessio the baker? He had him pretend he had a gun in his pocket.
Mm.
And that's what's happening here. All the cops get pulled away. So the Joes are left to protect it themselves. It's lovely. And I would be surprised if they didn't have Godfather in mind when they did all this stuff. But yeah, heavy metal is definitely the least designed of the team. And I like that. I appreciate that. I think everyone's got way too many pouches and zippers and, you know, shoulder pads and pads here and pads there. I like the simplified design of Heavy Metal. Like Black Dragon. I wish Black Dragon didn't have all those pads on. He's just got he's got too much to make me think he's a sleek ninja fighter.
Black Dragon enters that exclusive fraternity of people who wear masks but have their hair out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good look if you can pull it off.
Right, man. If I had that hair still, I guess I used to have hair like that when I was a kid. If I had that hair still, I'd be totally flaunting it. You don't want to keep that under. Maybe he's worried about losing it. Although he probably is more prone to getting concussions.
I love the angles they give these characters.
Yeah, it's almost Batman 66-esque, you know, in the storytelling. And I think a part of that is the really distorted character designs, you know, that all these guys got. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you about that. Are you a fan? Like, where else have you seen these kind of barrel chests and whatnot?
Well, that's, you know, it works for the main.
Extreme.
It is extreme. It works for the.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome. It works for the main characters because then they also put their heads in proportion and all that stuff. But when you're introduced to civilians and they try to kind of match that, it looks really, really weird. And what's funny is they don't even try to do that barrel chest with Metalhead, which is also, I think, why he's more interesting from a design perspective. Because he's the only one, if you notice, he's the only one that's not super barrel chested. He's pretty normal. Like right there, he's pretty normal looking.
Tucking people in.
Yeah. Checking on old sleeping grandpas. Like those aren't all Lieutenant Stone. He's literally spying on old sick people.
I haven't seen this kind of shadow work since the Batman cartoon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or more specifically, the X-Men cartoon, because this is the same. It's, the X-Men production company had a hand in starting G.I. Joe Extreme. So here we go. There's these 3 orderlies that were wheeling gurneys, and it turns out they work for Scar. So now Freight is in a fight in the hallway with these guys. I like the blasts that are coming out of Freight's gun. Do you see that they're little circles?
Yeah, circle beats the line or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember that the circle part thing being a thing before. So I like that they added that here. Like maybe it's some kind of non-lethal because they're in a hospital setting. Freight doesn't want to, you know, damage things. But it turns out on the gurneys, those weren't sick patients. Those were also Scar troops. And they're breaking into Stone's room. But he's still being protected by some of the Joe guys. It's actually Sergeant Savage.
Got a nice poster shot coming up here. There it is. Those 3 cats in the doorway.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's really great. Like, that would be you know what that would be? Well, we're going to commercial. We'll be right back. I'll keep you in suspense. Listeners, I know what you need in your life. You need more podcasts. And you also love movies. So why not do a podcast that's about not one movie. It's about not 2 movies. It's about 3 movies and a meal. I'm talking the Movies and a Meal podcast. This show is great. It's brought to you by Keith, Brad, and Ben, and each week they bring a new movie to the table, which they all discuss as a group. And it's not, you know, your highfalutin movies. It's What We Do in the Shadows, The Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Out of Sight. You know, it's Bad Education, Ghost Rider, and A View to a Kill. It's X-Men Last Stand, Queen Sugar, The Mandalorian, and Major League 2. They are a lot of fun to listen to. You guys know Ben. It's our friend Ben Pensarga. He was a guest on Joe and Joe. In fact, Ben was the very first remote guest that I ever had on this podcast, so he's always got a special place in my heart. I'm really digging this. I just started listening to it last week. It is a lot of fun. They bring a guest in. The guest, I listened to their Heathers episode. They were joined by Kelly, and she went in depth on her favorite movie, which was Heathers, and it made me want to go watch Heathers to watch with them. I really dig it. So guys, find them out there at Movies and a Meal, Twitter, Instagram. Their website is moviesandameal.podbean.com. They put out 1 episode a week. Give them a listen, guys. Support them. Let them know Joe on Joe sent you. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. It is quite entertaining. And now back to the show. All right, we're back. That would be a Mike Zeck cover. You remember that Mike Zeck Snake Eyes Storm Shadow cover coming through the through the doorway? I want to see Mike Zeck do that with those 3 Scar troops. That would be fantastic.
Oh, the grenade in the hospital.
Oh
Never
yeah,
a bad
well
idea.
that's smart. Yeah. So on one hand, Freight is like, let's use stun blasts to not damage the hospital. On the other hand, Sergeant Savage is literally popping us. I think it's a smoke grenade, but
Nice reveal.
yeah, nice smoke grenade. Oh, that's cool.
I like the look. I like the updated look. The beret with the mask. That's a good look.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they definitely. It's always the bad guys that always have the best looks. You know what I mean?
I have not seen that look since the Spider-Man around the 300s assassination plot. I forget what those guys were called.
Yes, that was.
If you recall that,
I know.
then
I know
you're
exactly what
truly
you're talking
brother.
about. You're talking about Flag Smasher and his troops, right?
I think it was Silver Sable was
Silver
in that.
Sable and yeah,
Solo mixed in
and
there.
Flag Smasher led the group called. Yeah, no, I know exactly. I know exactly.
Ultimatum.
Ultimatum. Yep, that's it.
Something like that. We still got it, brother.
We do. It's still somewhere in the deep recesses of our mind. So now we're getting Metalhead and Savage are having it out.
That
Oh, that's
voice.
great. Oh, wait, real quick. I think the best thing ever. Quick Strike and Black Dragon just walked in the door through the hole in the wall instead of the door, and they just left it too. That's fantastic. Like, that's really funny. That's something you see in like a sitcom. You know what I mean? If they bust a hole in the wall, people don't use the door; they just walk through the hole in the wall.
It's part of the Extreme playbook.
It's fantastic. So, looks like Stone is starting to wake up, and he's hearing the name. He's saying the name Clancy. He's trying to tell them. Yeah, he's trying to tell them that Clancy's the traitor.
It's classic.
Yeah, and here we go. Clancy / Ironclaw. He sees that his own troops are trussed up, and that room is just destroyed. I like these corner credit boxes that they're putting in the show this season. I feel like they did it a little bit last year, but they're doing it a lot this year, and I like it. It's like in a comic book when you get a caption box that says, later at the Hall of Justice. Like it's giving you the corner. Listen, it's giving the corner, it's giving the location where they're at. Like
Silencer.
Yeah, Silencer's jungle hideout. So this dude is cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this your first seeing him?
It is the first time we've seen him. He never got a figure. He is a new agent of Scar. His name is Silencer. He's white haired. Yeah, he's an assassin for hire. So very much, like think Deathstroke the Terminator. Think Firefly. And he flies this. Or no, he's on the motorcycle, that is a way extreme 90s motorcycle. It's terrible, actually. Motorcycle's terrible.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. But he gets a briefcase full of loot.
Yeah.
And then he rides his motorcycle up into this vertical takeoff and landing Scar jet, which keep that jet in mind because that's going to come into play later. I got questions about how they use that jet. We'll put a pin in that for now. But the Joes are standing over Stone's hospital bed, and in walks Clancy. So yeah, so Cujo, what G.I. Joe stuff are you most excited for these days? We've got the movie coming out. We've got those new figures that are dropping as we speak. There's rumors of a probably when this airs, the news will be out, but there's rumors of a retro line of figures. There's the Snake Eyes comic book. There's the Paul Aller comic book. Of course, Larry's stuff. And also the G.I. Joe. There's a G.I. Joe video game, of course, coming out.
There's, by the way, did we just go to commercial?
No. It's just that Ironclaw / Clancy just punched out Stone and knocked him out into oblivion. So Stone started waking up, and he just knocked him unconscious again. It's pretty great.
That line is one of the great knife twists I've heard recently. Oh no, he's passed out again. It's like such a
against the black screen too, right? It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I I am excited. Like the community excites me because it's that damn resilient. Um, I do like some of the things coming out. Of course, the critical thinking media person that I am, I definitely have opinions about it. But I'm glad people are, I'm glad to see people getting paid and creating like. I like the new sculpts. I know there's a retro line hanging out there. We'll see what it looks like, but no, I'm glad that GI Joe's in the zeitgeist. And I hope that the brand recognizes the community because it's been people like you and I don't want to get away because we've got extreme events, but no, like the community's really carried the brand, and I hope they see that.
Yeah. I think hopefully they do.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think there's a lot of us that have kept the torch as firing. Um, and I think our job is to just further amplify and celebrate the stuff that we like and vote with our wallets the stuff that we don't. Are you getting the classified figure? So wait, real quick. Here we go. This is what I'm questioning. So you got the sweet vertical takeoff landing jet.
It's incredible.
And it's just, it lands. Like it just stops. It doesn't keep flying. The Joes are trying to make a getaway in a van driven by Mayday. Of course, Mayday's driving it because she's amazing. And she just does a Dukes of Hazzard jump over everybody at this roadblock that Scar had set up. But why did the plane land? Is my question.
They had to show off the goods under the streetlights.
It's back in the air now, but I don't understand.
This is one of those rare cases where the bad guys don't wear masks either.
No,
Very
man.
strange way.
Yeah, they don't. They don't care where they got to lose. YOLO. And it's landing again. Oh, this time though, it's landing for a purpose. They just let off the silencer, so he just got out of the plane. So now he's in the mix. And there's a very cool moment of recognition / backstory that's going to happen here. And he's awesome. It looks like he's got a sword. He's good with his guns because he just knocked their tires out. And he recognizes Eagle Eye.
That's a rough collision.
And not only does he recognize Eagle Eye recognizes him. And man, he just hit hard.
Huh.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's Firefly meets Deathstroke the Terminator.
It's quite an entrance.
Yeah, and they thought Stone was in the back of that truck. We're going to commercial. We'll be right back. Today's Filecard Feature is on the Sky Stalker Interceptor Jet. This plane is awesome. It is black. It's got inverted wings. They kind of go up. It's in a V shape, and it was Scar's main plane of attack on both on the show and apparently in the cartoon line. Remember, they only made 6 vehicles in this line. I really dig it. Google this to see what this looks like because it's got a weird shape. Yes, it's V shaped, but the wings start way back. It's got kind of a thicker canopy. The decals on it are pretty sweet as well. And you've got this great missile firing feature, that thing they call the slam firepower technology. So if you're holding it with one hand, you could kind of cock it out and the foam missile would fire out the front. I would like to see them bring this back in some way, shape, or form. I think it's pretty good looking. It did not come with a figure, but there's certainly, you can place one in the cockpit. From what I can see on the box, it looks like they have Inferno in the box art. So Sky Stalker, you're a winner in my book. We salute you. They thought Stone was in the back of this ambulance, but he wasn't. It was just a ruse. Yeah.
Duped him.
Exactly. Now, it looks like, and this is where the kind of shoddy transfer animation comes into play. It looks like Silencer has stitches across his forehead, somehow he's, was he augmented or brain surgery kind of a thing? Is that why he's so good? It looks over his right eye. I can't really see it again because everything's super fuzzy on this old VHS. Oh, that's a jump. He just jumped his.
That was pretty sick.
It was great. He jumped his motorcycle 30 feet in the air into a waiting airplane. Freight is carrying Stone in an iron lung.
Yeah.
That's like Iron Lung out of Big Lebowski. I've seen every episode, sir. and they're evacuating the entire hospital, and they do this in a lot of like movies and cartoons and stuff, like Dark Knight. Evacuate the hospital. Joker's gonna blow it up and stuff. I can't imagine evacuating a hospital would take anywhere less than like 3 days.
No, probably not practical, but I would say a callback to an earlier conversation. I forget who you were talking to. They did go the extra mile. They gave like the extras voices and stuff. They don't do that to animation they don't care about.
Yeah.
This was definitely done
Mayday's
with
flirting with Eagle Eye. She must like his new gray hair.
Now she is a kind of a hybrid of Lady J and Scarlet.
Yes. She's kind of tomboy like Lady J, and actually she's really an amalgam hybrid of all of them, because if you think about it, her personality is a little more Lady J. Her look,
this is a nice reckoning right here.
Yeah, her look is more Scarlet, obviously, but she's also the vehicle driver, so that's CoverGirl. So it really is all three of the Joe ladies put together. The only thing's missing is like make her a martial arts expert, and she'd be Jinx too.
That doesn't offend me.
Yeah. So Savage is talking about there being a traitor. And this is where the guys are going to really twig onto the fact that really only one person could have ordered all this stuff to happen, like the 48th Regiment to leave and all that.
It's the worst realization.
Yeah. There's only one man higher. It's Clancy.
Top dog.
Mm-hmm. Pretty great. They all say it together.
I was impressed by this fight because essentially you have somebody just coming off a gurney. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like, what was it, Fast and the Furious? Was it 7? When The Rock gets out of the hospital bed and breaks the cast off his arm? It was like, let's go. Whichever one that was. So now we get some smoke. We get some smoke, and there he is, Iron Claw.
It's honestly a pretty good design. It still resonates.
I love his look. I think it's fabulous, man.
Am I right in saying that IDW kind of repurposed that mask as one of the kind of Cobra commanders along the journey?
Well,
it's a reach.
I mean,
it was during the Cobra Civil War.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a reach. I know they gave Cobra Commander, they gave him some more exotic looking masks. I don't know. I'd have to go back and kind of do a comparison on that, because Iron Claw wasn't in my brain space when I saw it.
Yeah, don't let me derail this amazing fight.
Yeah, this is great. So we got this. So basically, Scar's attacking the hospital to kill Stone. And Stone just called back up. Stone just recalled the 48th Regiment to come back and help out the Joe team, because the Joes are wildly outnumbered here. Oh, yeah, you could, Freight. Oh, Freight almost just got run over. Yeah, they're really in trouble. So, Cujo, if you could be a member of the Joe or Cobra team, or Scar, or the Dreadnoks, or the G.I. Joe Extreme team, which team would you be? What would your specialty be? And what would your specific code name be in that universe?
This might be prepackaged. I think Cujo with a K from the Black Book fits great with the Extreme team.
I think so too. I think with a K is perfect for it.
I can definitely see him taking on the Agents of Scar. I think I think if I created a character or had a character, if I was a G.I. Joe, I honestly kind of think we all are. So maybe that's just hubris or delusion, but no, I think we're all people that we're all a version of Scoop, you know.
All a version of Scoop. Yeah, okay. So would you be the G.I. Joe Extreme social media manager?
I think I'd be the guy with the mask on with the wild hair, maybe some Black Dragon. Wait, what's his name?
Well, that's Black Dragon, yeah. But what would Cujo do? So you're saying what would Cujo specifically do? Like what would your role on the team be?
If we're on the G.I. Joe newsroom, I'm probably the guy sitting on the outside of the circle, like scratching his chin while everybody, puts the story in place, that kind of thing.
I feel like I like that. I feel like you're running a like a deep state podcast in the G.I. Joe universe, where you're you're like the X-Files of the Extreme team. You know what I mean? Like you're hunting down all the wild rumors and all the craziness.
Spot on.
Yeah. That's in the corners of the G.I. Joe Extreme world. And every once in a while you bring it to the team and they're always like, Cujo, you're crazy. And you're like, no, I have proof. Here's the severed head of, Tutankhamun. And they're like, oh my God, it's real. Like that's how every episode of yours ends.
And then they rub their head for a little bit, and then they just go back to the
Then they're like, we don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
That's too much. Cujo.
Too much, Cujo. Too much. All right, that's it, Cujo. You're like the GI Joe Extreme fringe podcaster guy.
Great to be part of the Extreme. Extreme.
I
did it, Betty. I did it.
Nice. So that's it. So the end of the episode is Clancy's been revealed. Now they don't have the real Clancy yet, but it was revealed as Iron Claw. Scar made their escape. Stone got out of bed. He's walking again, so he's no longer in his coma. And
up and at them.
Yeah, and the G.I. Joe team is ready to go out and have another adventure. Cujo, so exciting.
Wait. Yeah, thank you, man. It's been great.
Yeah, so exciting. Such a good episode.
And I'm gonna be like redundant here, but it's people like you that make this whole journey pretty rad, dude. Thank you so much.
Oh man, well you're so very kind. Listeners, remember, find him at 86 Cujo on socials. Hit him up for copies of Black Book. You're gonna love it. It's really, really cool. It's a very cool art project. Very I love that you said it was it Renaissance art you were looking at, because it shines through in the art. It's really, really a cool high concept piece. So I appreciate Black Book, guys. So listeners, you go out there, find Cujo, get your hands on Black Book. Remember, follow me at Joe and Joe Pod and hashtag Release the Extreme. Cujo, or should I say, well, frankly, Cujo. Thanks for being a guest on Joe and Joe Extreme. And remember, now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle. Extreme!